You just hit $1 million. And you realize no one in your family has ever seen this number before. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the first year of being the first millionaire in your family actually feels like. Most people who hit this number lose a third of their portfolio by year 5, not to bad luck, but to 3 specific decisions no one prepared them for. The relationships that quietly shift, the requests you won't see coming, and the one mistake that's already forming on the wall behind you, in a photo of the people you did this for. Hitting the number is the easy part. Keeping it is what separates generational wealth from one-generation luck. And it starts with a phone call you're holding in your hand right now and haven't made yet. Here's what you actually do the day it happens. Nothing. You don't tell anyone for 3 days. Not your mom, not your best friend, not your partner. You walk through your own apartment at night, you pass that family photo on the shelf, and you let yourself just sit with it. And that's not paranoia, it's strategy. Because the moment you say the number out loud, every relationship in your life changes slightly. Some for the better, some for the worse, and you don't get to take it back. Money is information, and the specific thing about information you can't unshare is this. It doesn't just change what people know, it changes how they see you every time they look at you after. The cousin who hears the number hears it forever. The friend who quietly feels a little smaller hearing it, they don't stop feeling that every time you split a check from now on. Not because they're bad people, because money rearranges the story people tell about who you are relative to them. You can't manage that rearrangement after it's already happened. You can only control the timing of when it starts. So the 3 days aren't about secrecy. They're about preparation. You're carrying something now that the people you love don't have yet, and the weight of that is strange and specific. You are not just richer than you were yesterday. You are now the person everyone in your family is quietly watching to see what you do next. That pressure lands before you've spent a cent. It's worth sitting with it alone first, long enough to get steady, before you hand anyone else a reaction they didn't ask for. Use the 3 days for one thing. Get clear on who is actually in your inner circle before the inner circle starts expanding on its own. Write down the short list. That list is about to become more valuable in a quiet way than the million. The first call you make should not be to family. It should be to a fiduciary financial advisor. And that word matters, so let me define it the way it actually plays out. A fiduciary is someone who is legally required to act in your interest, not someone who gets paid more for steering you into one product over another. The person you're avoiding is the wealth manager who earns a commission on what he sells you. So his advice and his paycheck point in different directions. The person you want is fee only. You pay them a flat fee, they have nothing to sell, and the law is on your side if they put themselves first. Why before you even celebrate? Because you just crossed a line where small mistakes stop being small. The wrong tax move at this level costs around $80,000. Not over a lifetime, in a single bad year. And the wrong allocation, that's just the word for how your money is divided across stocks, bonds, real estate, cash. The wrong allocation quietly costs you about $400,000 over 30 years. You won't feel either one happening. That's what makes them dangerous. So hire help before you pour the drink. The fee feels like a lot when you're new to this. It is nothing next to the mistakes it stops. Quick thing while that lands. If you're the first in your family to chase this number, subscribe, because nobody handed us this playbook, and I'm building it here every week. Okay? Back to it. When you finally tell your parents, something catches you off guard. They'll be proud, but they won't be relieved. Not the way you expected. You're sitting across the kitchen table from them, dinner pushed aside, and you watch it land differently than you pictured. Because in their world, money was the thing you work for, not the thing that works for you. Your dad might ask if you're getting a raise, because a raise is a number he understands, and a portfolio that earns on its own sounds almost made up. Your mom might ask if it's safe, if it could all just disappear, because for her it always could. And you'll realize gently that the entire vocabulary you've built around wealth, investing, allocation, compounding, the 8%, doesn't exist in their world yet. Not because they're not smart, because no one ever had the room to teach them. Here's the reframe, and it's the one that changes everything. That gap is not sad. That gap is your new job. You're not the lucky one in the family anymore. You're the translator. You're the first person who gets to hand the next generation the words and the head start that nobody handed you. Within 90 days, the requests come. You're on the couch and the phone lights up. Yo, bro, you up? Need to talk about something quick. A cousin needs a small loan. An uncle has a business idea. A friend is going through a genuinely hard time, and you have the means to fix it, and they know you do. This is the test most first-gen millionaires fail. And not because they're cruel, the opposite. They fail it because they say yes. Yes to one, then yes to the next. Because saying no to people you love feels like betraying where you came from. And 2 years later, they're back at $600,000 and quietly resentful about it and unsure exactly where it all went. So here's the rule that saves you, and it's a single number. Decide in advance the amount you can give away every year and feel nothing if you never see it again. That's your help budget. Write it down before the first call comes. Inside that number, be as generous as your heart wants. That's what the money's for. Above that number, the answer is no, and the no is not about them. It's about protecting the very thing that lets you help anyone at all. A help budget isn't stingy. It's the only version of generosity that survives more than 2 years. Month 6. You notice you're thinking differently. You're on a call at your desk, leaning back, and a problem comes up that would have spiked your stress a year ago. And it just doesn't. It feels solvable, because it is. This is the part nobody tells you about, and it's bigger than any line on the statement. A car breaking down used to be a crisis, a cascade of which bill doesn't get paid this month. Now it's a Tuesday inconvenience. You pay it, you forget it, and when fear stops driving, you start making a completely different class of decision. Think about what that shift looks like inside the same room you were always in. A year ago, going into a salary negotiation, you rehearsed every line because you couldn't afford to walk away. You needed that number. That need showed in the speed you agreed, in the relief you couldn't quite hide when they said yes. The other side of that table could feel it. People who have leverage over you can always feel it. The version of you at month 6 walks into the same room differently. You know what you're worth, and more importantly, you know you're fine if they disagree. So you ask for the real number, not the acceptable number. You hold the pause instead of filling it. And if they say no, you say, let's revisit in 90 days because you can afford to wait, and they can tell that too. The calm isn't a performance, it's just what happens when the floor is real. You stop saying yes to things out of scarcity. You decline the meeting that wastes your afternoon. You finally ask for what you're actually worth. And you ask calmly because for the first time in your life, there's something solid beneath you. The safety net didn't make you lazy. It removed the cost of saying no. And the version of you who isn't negotiating from fear earns more, not less. And that's the quiet engine that takes people from 1 million to several. Year 5. Here's the mistake that kills roughly 70% of first-gen millionaires' portfolios. And it is not the Lamborghini. The obvious blow-ups are rare. It's the subtle version, and it has a name. Lifestyle inflation. That's when your spending quietly rises to swallow every bit of new income. So you earn more and somehow never get further ahead. Watch how it actually happens because it never feels reckless in the moment. You upgrade the house, reasonable, you earned it. Then the car, you drive a lot, it makes sense. Then it's 3 nice vacations a year instead of 1. Each single step is defensible. And your annual spending drifts from $60,000 to $180,000 without a single decision that felt wrong. Now do the math nobody does in that big half-empty house. $1 million pulled on at a safe rate sustains about $40,000 a year. Basically forever. But you've built a life that costs $180,000 a year. To fund that safely, you'd need about $4.5 million in the portfolio. And you have one. You didn't get richer. You quietly made your million too small to hold you. The fix is almost stupidly simple, and almost nobody does it. Lock your lifestyle before your income grows. Pick the life that's already good enough, and when the raises and returns come, route them to the portfolio, not the spending. Let your income climb and your lifestyle hold. That gap, held for a decade, is the whole game. Here's what nobody tells the first millionaire in a family. The number was never the point. The point was time. Sit with that for a second, because it sounds simple and it isn't. Time is the thing money can't manufacture out of nothing. But once you have enough of it, money can protect time in a way that nothing else can. The Wednesday afternoon you don't have to justify to anyone. The phone call you take in the middle of the day without checking if you have a meeting. The decision you make, a job, a move, a relationship, without first opening a bank app to see if you can afford to. Those moments don't feel like wealth when you get them. They feel like ordinary life. That's exactly the point. Think about what the million actually purchased. The ability to walk away from any job that treats you badly. The ability to take care of your parents without lying awake over their rent. The ability to tell your kids yes on the small things. The field trip, the shoes, the thing you used to flinch at, without the flinch. You're on the couch at golden hour with a book you actually wanted to read, and the calendar tomorrow is yours. You didn't buy stuff. You bought the power to say no to the wrong things and yes to the right ones. And this is the fork that decides the rest of your life. If you use the money to buy more time, freedom, control, options, the ability to let it keep compounding untouched, you drift up to $2 million, then $5 million, then $10 million, almost as a side effect of leaving it alone. But if you use it to buy more stuff, the same machine runs in reverse, and you're back at zero in about 8 years, with a bigger house and a smaller future. Same million. Opposite endings. The only variable is what you decided it was for. So, if you're the first in your family to hit this number, or more likely, when you do, remember the 3 moves because they're the whole difference. 1. Hire help before celebrating. The fee is nothing next to the $80,000 mistakes it quietly prevents. 2. Set your help budget before the requests come, the number you can give and feel nothing if it's gone, so generosity doesn't cost you the thing that makes generosity possible. 3. Lock your lifestyle before your income grows, so your million never becomes too small to hold the life you built. Hire help. Cap the help. Cap yourself. Those 3 moves are the line between generational wealth and a story your grandkids hear about that one rich year grandpa had. The first millionaire in a family doesn't just change their own life. They change the starting line for everyone who comes after. That's a different kind of pressure than getting here was, and it's worth carrying carefully. Because the wealth you build now was never really for you. It's for the family that starts counting from you. I put together the first Millionaire Playbook, the exact questions to screen a fiduciary, the word-for-word template for the family conversation, and the help budget calculator that sets your number for you. Link in the description. Drop your email and it's yours, free. One last thing before we close out. If this gave you even one move you didn't have before, hit like. It's how this reaches the next person who's first in their family too. Then drop a comment. Which of the 3 is going to be hardest for you? Hiring help, capping the help, or capping yourself? I read these. And subscribe because the next video maps the whole climb. Every level of net worth from 0 to 10 million, and the one move that gets you to the next rung from wherever you're standing now.